Silver seems to be continuing its losing streak, and we started the week off down, and it looks like it's continuing a free fall back into the 40s, and it's got people and myself thinking, how far can this go? Well, let's look at what's happened in the past and what might actually happen today. So let's break everything down in today's video. Want to win 100 ounces of American Silver Eagles completely free? Well, in case you missed out on the first opportunity, JM Bullion is now giving you a second chance to win 5 full tubes of 100 coins packed in a custom waterproof Pelican case. There is no purchase necessary, and the newest and latest giveaway is going to end on December 11th of this year. And if you want to get in on this last opportunity, click the link in the description below for a chance to win. And again, just to be clear, JM Bullion is not sponsoring this channel in any sort of way. This is just me wanting to pass this opportunity along to help you guys out. So don't miss out on this. Click on the link in the description to enter for your chance to win 100 ounces of free silver. Hi everybody, and welcome back to yet another video. So silver took a massive L yesterday to start the week, being down about 3.7% on Monday alone. And if we look back from when silver peaked to 54.24, we saw almost a 14% drop in roughly 2 weeks. And just a few weeks ago, people were claiming that silver prices were going to be much higher. But now we have seen a massive sell-off in those last 2 weeks, and it could be possible that we've switched from being euphoric to fearful in a very short period of time. Now, I do want to point out the patterns and historical movements of the past, because while we did break a new all-time high record and closed above it for a brief period, the downward drop in price looks to be a three-peat of what happened the last time silver got near 50. So is this the case again? Well, I've made the argument that this time is different, but at the same time, I've also mentioned that it could repeat into a crash. But how can we confirm which one that we're going to be in? Are we in a pullback, or are we going to be repeating history by watching the price continue to plummet? Well, if we look back in the previous runs and drops, specifically starting in 1980, when the price first got to around $50 before getting absolutely crushed down to 11, which actually indicated for a 78% drop in just a few months, but that was due to external factors like the Hunt brothers and the margin requirements being implemented, which caused the price to just get destroyed. But I don't think it's reasonable to compare those events to today's situation. So in a way, it almost omits itself, and I also don't think anyone expects a comparative 80% drop to happen by the end of this year. So we can kind of rule that situation out. And the second time was back in 2011 when the price was close to $50, and that ended up coming back down to 35, which was roughly a 26% decrease in price. And that one seems to be the most logical and comparative example that we can pull from, since it wasn't an extreme drop like 80%. So where are we today? Well, after hitting $54, we've seen almost that 14% pullback. And while it is a good drop in the price, the movement that it took to get there is a little bit different from the previous drops, and that's the one thing that's unique about today's situation, because in the past run-ups and drops, the price continued to drop and fell consistently until it didn't. And for the recent events, the price has done a bit of a dead cat bounce, and if you don't know the concept, essentially the price falls, comes back up again, and then falls back a little bit more, and it's continued that direction downward, and that's something we didn't see in the previous crash. So the question I asked earlier about which direction are we heading to? Are we in a small pullback, or are we going to continue to see a drop in the price? And with all the demand and supply issues that we are seeing, with refineries being backed up and not buying certain purity levels, and dealers are also now struggling to get products into the hands of the retail buyers who have a high demand on these products for physical silver. And you would think the price could continue to go up, but it hasn't. And I personally believe that I've been watching for a specific closing price, which was going to be below $48 for that to occur. That would indicate to me a possible reversal that could continue in the downward movement of the price. But of course, nothing is ever certain. And as far as the supply issues are concerned, that doesn't really seem to have any sort of end in sight, at least in the foreseeable future. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with everything once all of that gets some relief. So let's play with a possible scenario of what the price of silver could continue to do if it does drop from its recent high of 54. And I'm not going to count the 80% drop. I just don't see that happening. But let's assume that the previous run of 2011 that had the 26% drop, we could use that as a reasonable and comparative scenario that would put the price of silver at roughly $40 an ounce with that same level of a drop. And if we assume a 50% drop in a more drastic scenario, that would put the price of silver back into the mid to upper 20s. And while that would be fantastic, I personally don't see the price going that low. I would expect that we see maybe $40 as the new floor, and we could go below that and dip into the high 30s now and then. But I think somewhere between that 14, maybe even 10 to 25% drop could be the pullback that we actually do see. But again, these are just my guesses. It seems like it's a healthy enough price movement to not seem out of reach or out of touch with things. And whatever the price does decide to do is what it's just going to do. There's nothing I can do to influence the outcome in that. Either way, the only smart move we can do is the same thing that I'm going to continue to say over and over again. And timing a crash or a bull run is impossible, and it's never going to work. You can only guess with 50-50 probability, and in times of volatility, that can be dangerous, but it could also reward you. But again, not trying to time the market and just dollar cost averaging your purchases and sticking to the plan that you created will allow you to filter out any noise or any emotional price movements that we do see. Because these corrections don't always need to be viewed with a negative light. They don't destroy anything. They don't destroy the bull markets or any future possibilities of growth. All they do is give you the opportunity to set yourself up for the next one. So with silver falling each and every single time this happens, it's going to test your temperament, and your temperament is what's going to separate stackers from emotional traders. And the real question isn't how far will the price of silver crash to, but what you do while it's crashing. And that's going to be it for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think about the price of silver. What will it do? Is it going to go up? Is it going to go down? Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.